From Atlanta, Georgia, welcome to Fearfully and Wonderfully Me, a podcast for women on leadership and life skills with Rhea Story. Rhea shares powerful life and leadership principles, helping you maximize your potential and become the woman God created you to be.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fearfully and Wonderfully Me, a podcast designed to empower women to become the leaders they are destined to be. Today's topic is one of my favorites to talk about. Decluttering. Declutter your life. I think that's what we should call that, right? You know, it's kind of a trendy thing lately to talk about minimizing stuff and getting rid of stuff, and cleaning out closets and getting rid of clothes that have been there for 10 years and you're never going to wear them, so get rid of them, quit storing them, quit keeping them, don't be a pack rat. It's kind of a trendy thing. There's a couple books out recently on it, and I'm all for that. I tell you what, every time Mac and I move, I throw out so much stuff, and I'm always amazed by how much stuff we've accumulated. Honestly, I think it'd be helpful if you moved once a year, because you would quit carrying around so much stuff. But it's not, and decluttering our physical environment is a good thing. I'm not saying you have to throw out everything. Certainly there's some keepsakes, some mementos that you want. You don't have to throw out everything, but decluttering your physical environment, cleaning out drawers, that's not a bad thing. I know I feel better when things are well organized and clean. I know I'm more effective. I know I can find stuff better when things are clean and organized. And it's funny, one of my survival strategies, if I get stressed or if I'm feeling overwhelmed, you'll probably find me either exercising or cleaning. Those are both ways that I manage, too much stress. I like to clean up or organize my physical environment because it gives me more of a sense of control. And there again, it kind of gets rid of some of the junk and helps me be more effective. And it's really relaxing, honestly, and it feels so good to get rid of the stuff that you don't need. So it's funny, though, whenever I get really stressed, the first thing I want to do is just clean my desk off, or clean my environment, or clean the kitchen, because it's starting with taking over control of the physical area around me. And then it allows me to be more effective at making the next step and the next decision and working on the next task. So... But that's a good thing, and everyone does it differently. Sometimes we clean our closets out once a year, or maybe you're a spring and fall cleaning person. There's no bad way to do that, as long as you're intentional about not accumulating too much stuff that doesn't serve you. Only you can decide what that stuff is and when you need to get rid of it. But not. It's important to not just declutter our physical environment, right? Declutter our life. Getting rid of things that don't serve us, or things that don't belong, or things that we've outgrown should happen in every dimension of our life, not just our physical environment around us. So what does that look like? It's hard to do sometimes, but we should take a good hard look at every dimension of our life and see what doesn't serve us. Are there relationships that are just holding you back from accomplishing the things that you want to do? And maybe it's time to declutter that area of your life. And it doesn't mean that we're better than anyone, but I guarantee you have already left people behind in your life. The problem is that sometimes our relationships, all the time, relationships are emotional, right? And we have an emotional attachment. But sometimes that person is negative for us or bad for us in some way or some form, and yet we won't get rid of it. We won't end the relationship or renegotiate the relationship. It doesn't necessarily have to mean you end it, but renegotiate it with the right boundaries in place. So maybe there's relationships that you need to declutter. And I can tell you it doesn't mean you don't love the person or like the person anymore. It just means that they're not the best person for you to spend time with for one reason or another. Maybe they have habits that you're trying to break, and yet you find yourself hanging out with them on Friday night, and you want to do the same things they're doing. I mean, it's as Jim Rohn says, we become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with, right? We start to act like them, drink like them, think like them, dress like them. So be intentional about that social dimension of your life. Is your circle of friends pulling you up? Right? Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with, and are they the right 5 people? And maybe it's time to declutter that. And we already talked about decluttering the physical environment, but a couple of tips on that. I love that feeling of getting organized and cleaning up. But the best way I find to do that, whether it's tackling my kitchen pantry or my desk drawers, the best way for me to declutter a physical area is to, number one, pull everything out. If it's a desk, pull everything out of the drawers, everything comes out, and then, clean it up, sort through it, discard what doesn't belong, and then put back what does belong. And as you put it back, you can organize it and put it back in a nice, neat form and fashion. Kitchen or clothes or closet, same thing. It's much easier if you take everything out to begin with, in my opinion, and then you can just put back the things that you need. And because it really forces you to pick up every individual item and evaluate it, make a good decision. Otherwise, what happens is I go through my closet and I go, well, I kind of like this blouse, right? It's easier to leave something where it's at than it is to take it out and put it back. But most of the time, what happens if we take it out, we can more objectively make a decision about whether it needs to go back, right? It's easy to leave something in place, and so we're going to default to leaving it there. If you pull everything out, then it's easier for you to objectively to say, yeah, this really doesn't fit anymore, or I didn't really love this blouse anyway. So, mental dimension of life or emotional dimension of life, decluttering our thoughts. We don't really talk about that, but just as it's just as important to clean up our physical house is to clean up our mental thoughts, declutter the thoughts that aren't serving us, the negative thoughts. I find sometimes I'll find myself just almost obsessing over something. Maybe it's a mistake I made or something I said that I'm like, man, I wish I hadn't said that. Or usually it's something to do with people, because that's what I do most of the time is talk to people. But there's been more than a few times I've said something from the stage and then thought later, whoa, I wish I had not said that way. And I can't change the past. We absolutely should learn from our mistakes, but we've got to move on and let it go. And yet sometimes I'll find myself swirling back around to that incident and trying to beat myself up for it. But declutter those thoughts. If you have negative thoughts, get rid of them. One of the strategies that I like to, or the exercises that I like to do, is take out a sheet of paper and draw a line down the middle of that sheet of paper. And on the left side of the paper, write down everything that you're worried about or concerned about, or everything that's stressing you out. And then on the right side of the paper, write down everything that you can do or influence regarding the things that you wrote down on the left. So for example, if you wrote down anything from it's going to rain on Saturday for my wedding, to on the right side of the column, you would go, well, what can I do about that? Could I move the wedding indoors? Could I buy umbrellas for the guests? Just write down what you can do, something actionable that you can influence about the situation that's stressing you out. And that will give you some strategies on how to deal with it, right? When we focus our energy on what we cannot control, we find that we can't improve those things. So focus our mental thoughts, declutter the negative ones that don't serve us, and focus on the positive ones that we can do, the strategies that we can take action on. So, when we talk about that, it's not just decluttering or doing some fall cleaning around the house, but declutter your life. Take a hard step back. And I know it's hard. I know sometimes it's hard to let go of things that are holding us back. But here's the tip. Sometimes in life, we can't reach forward or up toward what we really want because we're not willing to let go of what's holding us back. Think about that. We cannot reach forward or up towards something we really want because we're not willing sometimes to let go of what we're holding on to, what's holding us back or tying us down. So take a good look. This time of year for me is a natural season of reflecting. I'm recording this podcast and we're just almost to November. And so the holiday season will be here, but with the holiday season, of course, immediately follows the new year. And so this time of life, this season of life is always a natural period for me to sit down and think about, have I lived the best version of me this year or this week or this month? And if not, what do I need to change? As I move into the momentum of the new year, what changes do I want to make? And I think we could do a whole podcast episode on New Year's momentum and talking about that. So maybe that'll be a future episode. But, really, I challenge you to just sit down and declutter the area of life that's causing you friction or causing you distress. If you're not in alignment, then it's time to take a good hard look at what clutter is not serving you. And what should you let go of? Until next time.
Start increasing your influence and maximizing your potential with Ria's audiobooks. Available at audible.com, amazon.com, and iBooks. Please visit riastory.com to learn about Ria's books, resources, speaking, and training programs. Thanks for listening.